Thanks, Jim. You should be on late night here. My name's RONSHAW. I'm currently residing in Shawnee from the Gray Horse District. And some of you may know I'm an internist by profession. That is, I practice internal medicine. Been out for over 30 years. I have worked some with the nation in the role of chairman of the Health Advisory Board and more recently the Health Authority Board. There's currently different members on that board now. I won't recount the whole dilemma of that time when I was on the Health Authority Board. But suffice to say, I've maintained a keen interest in what happens with Osage Health in the last 5 years as time's gone on. And one of my key reasons for wanting to run at this time is that I feel like that I have expertise to lend to be able to improve healthcare for the Osage. But by the same token, the Osage, Osage people, we've got other issues. There are other things that also face us. And just as I've said before, Osages cannot elect a one-dimensional candidate. We need to have someone that's rounded and has opinions and has taken the time to study the other issues that confront us. On the first question, you know, I'm not going to give you a non-answer, okay? It's sort of a ticklish question to answer because you don't want to give people a certain opinion, but you still need the answer, and I'll let you draw your own opinions. You know, I'm satisfied that our Constitution was followed. I'm satisfied that a process took place that was as fair as it could be as set forth by the Constitution. Though I feel that our previous chief was guilty of those transgressions and charges that were against him in the trial, yes. Do I believe it reached the threshold for removal? I personally do not think so. Does that mean I think people can break the law and not follow the Constitution without any accountability? Well, there's a threshold that has to be reached. And every time I read through the list of allegations and findings, I'm just not ever convinced that it reached the threshold for removal. I'm interested to see whether or not there'll be any legislation and amendments to the Constitution that will further improve and refine that process. So you don't have the Select Committee of Inquiry also occupying the jury of the whole, which comprised the Osage Nation Congress. I consider that part of the process unfair, and the jury pool essentially was tainted because many of them served on the Select Committee of Inquiry. Many people maybe don't realize some of those particular items or issues, but those are some of the things that I noticed, and those are my opinions. If others are found to have broken our laws, I think if people break our laws, and we're talking about elected officials, I assume, then I think we all need to be accountable. And I think that the process needs to be followed. Do I think that we need to be bringing charges against us about every year, every other year? Of course not. I think we need to have a spirit of cooperation. I think that the cooperation between the executive branch and the Congress needs to be improved because it's been gridlocked since forever, since the first chief. It's constantly been the Congress doesn't trust the chief doesn't really trust the Congress, and there are odds, and chiefs continue to threaten to veto certain legislation. We need to come out of that gridlock and actually work together to be able to use both those branches of our government to make progress. LLC. I believe that there needs to be a forensic audit. We spent $500,000 or more perhaps on the removal trial because we wanted to clear the air. That's what I sense. We need to clear the air about the LLC. We need to determine whether people owe us money. I think it's premature just to determine that was just a bad decision and it was just a business loss. I'm not so sure. I feel like that I've been robbed. Somewhere in there, perhaps someone needs to go to jail, and perhaps we need to get some of our money back. And I'm afraid without a forensic audit, that's not going to happen. There's legislation right now in Congress for the Congress to pass a resolution to support the Osage LLC because it's gotten a black eye with all of the talk and the criticism about losing $11.5 million. I'm sure that's true, but I think great changes need to be made. I think that the Osage LLC as a brand needs to be reinvented. I think it's got a black eye, and just a congressional resolution is not going to change that. And I think the Osage people don't trust it right now. So there need to be enough changes, whether it be the people, to be able to allow local investment practices, because we have no investment really right around Osage County or even in Tulsa. It all seems to be out of state, and so the $11.5 million, we just had to hear about it. We certainly didn't see any evidence of any active companies that we were aware of. Of course, as a people, we don't hear about that. We don't get reports about that. The Congress may get that. They may pass along some of the information, but the details that some of us might be interested in, we don't receive. On the $103 million in construction, and could we get some new benefits, I think the people need to be invested in. I think if you're out of state and you're out of town, you deserve to be remembered in virtually every piece of legislation that comes that involves benefits. One of the things I will say, though, about the health benefit and the scholarship funding and even constituent services is those are not one-time, one-year expenditures. If you look at this, you would multiply the total of all of those benefits, which is maybe $4 million for the health benefit, maybe now almost $8 million for scholarships, and I'm not sure what constituent services are if you total that up. Multiply that times 5, and perhaps you get closer to 5 times, what, 50 million? 60 million? So all of a sudden, it's not just $4 million a year. It's over that same period of time, there's been a large amount spent on benefits. Is that enough? Of course not. We need to do more. But we also can't forget the fact that some of the money we spend on construction is seed money for the future to allow us to invest. We've got an ancient infrastructure on the campus, which there's good plans been set forth to bring it up to date. But if you go up to the campus right now, it's ancient. All the buildings are aging. And it's time for the Osage people to have a campus and buildings that they're proud of, particularly when we have people visit us from other tribes. I go to some of these other tribes, I go to their clinics, I see their buildings, and I'm envious. And I don't want to feel envious. I want to feel that I've got everything else that anybody else has, because I'm Osage. And if we don't have it, I want to try to go find it. I want to try to get it. And in closing, I'll say that a lot of people, when they make the decision to run for office, says, well, is it a good time this year, or should it be, should I wait till next time? Should I wait 2 years? Maybe there's a better time. And I reached the decision that there is no other time. Now is the time.
Thank you, Ron.
Let's wait for RONSHAW.